طلاب الأعزاء، السلام عليكم، وبرحب فيكم مرة ثانية في هذه المادة تدقيق تكنولوجيا المعلومات وكشف الاحتيال. بعد تذكركم على التأخير في تسجيل هذا الفيديو. أنا عبد الله طراد من الأردن، تخرجت بكالوريوس من جامعة مؤتة في تكنولوجيا المعلومات. انتقلت بعدها إلى ماليزيا لدراسة الماجستير في أيضا تكنولوجيا المعلومات IT، وأيضا الدكتوراه. أثناء دراستي في الدكتوراه كنت أيضا بدرس في جامعة في ماليزيا. انتهيت أيضا من دراسة الدكتوراه أثناء التدريس هناك، وبعدها انتقلت إلى جامعة أخرى في كمبوديا، وحديثا انتقلت إلى جامعة في الأردن تقريبا من أقل من أسابيع فقط. بدأت عملي هنا في الأردن تدريس أيضا different computer science courses. So, this is the first time for me. In fact, I teach this course, تدقيق تكنولوجيا المعلومات وكشف الاحتيال, and I don't mind really to explore it with all of you, and I hope you can gain a lot of knowledge out of this course. I try to design this course, using a model. Model is something that I never use, but I found it very, very, very similar to the one I used in Cambodia last time, Canvas. And I try to design this course in an easy way so you can easily access your course materials and assignments. So let me just quickly give you maybe a quick overview on this course and the course structure in model. So the first page here, and I'll be designing everything in modules. And each module, as you can see here, right now we have 4 modules. First one, right? And second one, week 1 module. And then we have module 2 and 3. So the first module was just to welcome you all to this course. So if you probably visited this page, you would find only one thing, which is just a quick welcome to all of you into this course. So the second page from left-hand side over here, easy to navigate, right, is the course syllabus. And when I designed and dropped this course syllabus format, I found that I need to follow another format. So you can download the وصف المادة, the course syllabus from this link. So if you click on this link, you're gonna get a Word, I think, copy to the course syllabus. So quickly, you can see that a quick intro on the course. As you can see here, we are going to just look at IT systems, and frameworks and tools, applications that we need to use them in order to apply and achieve IT auditing and fraud detections in different areas, and mostly in um, financial and accounting areas. I think most of you are familiar with finance and accounting more than me, right? In this area. So this would be very, very simple, I guess, course to every one of you, since you are okay with finance and accounting, and you probably completed a lot of courses during your bachelor degree. You're good in accounting and finance. You know how to make auditing on all these type of stuff. So this course will probably introduce you to more IT tools and application methods and approaches, frameworks also that we can apply them in order to maybe find out some kind of digital vulnerabilities in systems, find out how to maintain, for example, data security, protect assets, which is very, very, very important to organizations and businesses, right? So we need to protect their assets, ممتلكات. And mumtalakat could be, of course, physical stuff, data, integrity, right? And so on. So we want to see how we can apply that, how we can find out the type of fraudulence, right? So using IT applications. So the course learning objectives are listed in this table. So we need to understand the foundations of IT auditing, apply IT auditing standards and the framework. You probably have done some of that during your bachelor degree. Conduct IT audit and analyze evidence. For that, of course, we need to provide evidence in order to maybe our decision makers in order to maybe do some changes on their business strategies or organization policies. And then we will maybe find out that we have to identify and assess or evaluate IT risks, understand and apply data analytics in auditing the fraud detections. Data visualizations and analysis of data is really important. Of course, when we provide kind of easy to read reports that would help our decision makers in order to take the right decision and the steps. Now, in objective learning, course learning objective 6, we will investigate and respond to IT-related incidents. I need to add 7 here and 8 to these objectives. I think I missed to add the numbering here. So the last two objectives here of this course communicate and report audit findings, which is something related to maybe, the previous. So whatever we find from previous steps, then of course we need to write them in reports and then stay with the current of art and the trends related to IT auditing applications. Now, as I told you, this is the first time for me I teach this course, and most of you have better maybe experience than me in IT probably and accounting. So I found out that these two textbooks could give us a lot. The first one is information technology, auditing and assurance. Third copy. I couldn't find the fourth one. Probably there's no fourth edition. This one, 2010 for James A. I think the name is not complete here, but we can go to this book. If you go to, yeah, so here's the name of the author, Information Technology Auditing. It has 12 chapters. So it will bring you through all these chapters, from 1 to 12. So we can go back to this one. Later, we have the second resource, which is a fraud and fraud detections. I think I need to delete maybe these two words. So it's only fraud detections. Let's check this one together. Yeah, so it's correct name. So fraud and fraud detection. A data analytics approach. You would love this maybe textbook because it provides a lot of scenarios, experiments, and case studies. So if you want to get a copy of this two textbook, you can download that from this link. Right, so if you click on this link, you would have two copies right here. I mean, you can download these two books. All right, so the grading system of this book, of this course, as you can see from this table, is that we have 20% for class participation. Then we have 40% assignments, lab, and individual projects. We could have different things. This could be also changed later on. So we may maybe focus on a lot of assignments more than labs and individual projects. So I know that it's not easy to access internet in Gaza Strip right now. So every one of you have, I know that's difficult time to really access internet. So we will be given like a free and sufficient time to access assignments or to complete assignments. And the last part of this course is final exam. So we have 40% also for final exam. We will arrange this together later on. Attendance, if we could have maybe regular classes, of course, we need to respect the policy of the class attendance. But as for now, and it's unstable time, uncertain also time, so every one of you is excused, I mean, because of the, of course, net access ability. So the late work also got maybe some penalty later on on our assignments. So if you want to look at, we are probably in week 2 right now, so we should have completed the first two, weeks. As you can see here, week 1 we have the first 3 chapters. So the first 3 chapters in week 1 should have done right from this textbook. So chapter 1 we have auditing and internal control. So the objective of this chapter is to give us the differences between tests, services, and advisory services, and to be able to explain the relationship between these two. I think I have explained these two things, in a short point in model, right? Model, yeah. So the second chapter right here is on something auditing IT governance and control. And the last chapter from week 1 is auditing operating system and networks. So the objective of each of these chapters are listed also here, so you can see that. For example, here we need to be able to identify the principal threats to the operating system and the control techniques used to minimize the possibility of actual exposure to let's say, threats. This is one of the objectives. So if you want to also look at the structure of each of these chapters, so you can see that they have different, of course, topics. And at the end, you could also find that we have I think yeah, so here's the end. So after this topic, we can have like kind of, sorry, case studies, I guess, and some exercises. So key terms are listed there, summary, of course, and then, yeah, right here. So we have let me go down slowly. Yeah, so we have review questions. We have also discussion questions. And you have also problems. If you want to really, read or apply kind of auditing techniques, let's say on real scenarios, you would just go down here at the bottom of each chapter to find out, for example, this case study, a problem, something might be happened, a true case study happened somewhere in the world in one of the companies, right? And then they give you a quick description on this case study. So right after this case study, you will find, let me maybe highlight that. You can find right after that, you can find the required things that you need to achieve. So after you read this case study, right, so you need to, for example, describe the role of each of the following establishments, maintenance, and evaluation of micro dynamic systems of internal control. So you need to just describe these 3 or 4 items from or based on your understanding from this case study. Then describe the responsibilities that microdynamics audits committee has in the financial report process. I saw these are the main requirements from this case study, which is the first one, audit committee. That's the title of this case study. It's case study or problem. Second problem here is role of the internet auditor, sorry, internal auditor. So what are the roles? So they will give you some real case or system or problem happen somewhere, right? So They describe it here, and they describe also the problem in maybe points right here, and then they will ask you to find out something like that, define objectivity as it relates to the internal audit function. Right, so that's this is something happened in most of these chapters, right? Second, third, and so on. So that the first textbook, and the second textbook is something on fraud and fraud detections approaches. We will come back to this one, but before that, we can look at the schedule of this again course. So the second, week here we have like auditing database system. So if you go back to second week materials, you can find them right here, right? So database, auditing database would be, I guess, maybe in chapter 4. So the first three chapters, week 1. Second week, we have also another 3 chapters. So if we back again to this table, second week, we have chapter 1, 2, 3. It's 3, 4, 5, in fact, from that textbook. So week 2, we have chapter 4, 5, and 6, I guess, which is the last one, transaction processing and finance reporting system overview, which should be this one, right? So every week we have like 3 chapters. I know this could be a lot, too much. And it's also too much to me to read and find out also some maybe the main points of everything for you here. But I hope you could maybe find out maybe enough time just to take a quick look at the most important thing from each of these 2 chapters. Beside that, of course, I will try to focus with you on practical issues. So I will show you one thing that I have shared with you in model later on, which maybe could give us different experience in this course. So week 3, we have another 3 chapters. So you can go to chapter 7 here, which is the contents of week 3. So we have computer assisted audit tools and techniques, which is very interesting thing that you can find here. Then week 3, we have also data structures and CAAT for data extraction. Week 9, we have auditing and revenue cycle. Right, that's for week 3. And week 4, we have also different chapters, right? And so on. So once you're done in the first book, then we will move second book here, which also has like, 18 chapters. I know that too much, that's a lot, but please just find out maybe the best you can gain from these 2 books. You can read this table, you can go through it until maybe, last week, final exam week. But that's it. If you want to maybe take a copy of this in different formats, you can download that right here. That's for module 1. Now, module 2, which is week 1, it has a quick description about, each chapter. So for example, here we have overview on auditing. They describe auditing in 3 main areas or aspects. First one is external audit for finance. Second one, internal audit and fraud audits, right? If you want to know about each of that, so you can refer to this quick description. External audits are independent examinations, activities, independence, where a company's, let's say, financial statements, by certified public accountants, CPAs. I think you know what is this certificate from public accounting firms. So this is something could be achieved. So what they want to, say here is that, this is something independence activities or examinations, right? Evaluation that could be achieved using this company, third-party company, or this guy. So the objective of this is to ensure the fair, presentation of financial statements for stakeholders. That's one thing, you can maybe take a look also at the, other things. If you want to read more about that, of course, you need to go back to this textbook right here and in chapter 1, and then find out more about, external audits. This is what I have. I just summarized this, paragraph right here, summarize that in these a few points. Internal audits is something could be also related to evaluations, where organizations have to conduct that by internal auditors, right? And the external auditors, something that could be achieved using maybe external, of course, auditor. This is really very quick. Again, if you want to read more about that, you can go down here to find out something, for example, about internal audit. All right. All right. So we have also fraud audits. This is something again back to this point. So we said that we have our businesses, business organizations undergo with three type of audits for different purposes, right? So the third type here is this fraud audits, and this one is for investigations to uncover, and gather evidence of potential fraud. Now, this is really very critical thing and very essential also for organizations. And there are a lot of, there are a lot of tools and approaches, and they call them in some of these textbook, they call them frameworks that you can apply in your organization in order to find out some possible potential rights fraud. So you can find a quick description about that. The other topics are quickly and shortly summarized for you in this section. So other topics in this chapter 1, are listed also here. Now right here. So that's also, some of the chapters figures, which shows you different type of, let's say, IT audit processes that could be happened in organization. All right, so that the contents of some of the important maybe contents from chapter 1. Chapter 2 is also summarized. Next page right here. Chapter 2, Auditing IT Governance Control. I try to list a quick and short thing about that, so you can see let's say, the objective also of the chapter is listed here. Yeah, so, the chapter has like main points, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I tried really to summarize that into very short and quick ones. So the first one is something about IT governance control. These controls ensure that IT support and alignments, allies with the organization's overall business objectives and risks activities. So the second point here could, is something about the structure of the IT functions. For example, centralized data processing, segregations of incompatible functions, distributed data processing, and controlling the distributed data processing environments. So here's also a quick description about each of that. We have also computer center, which is something mentioned in this chapter, physical location of stuff in the organization, constructions of that, access, air conditioning stuff, which is something could be also considered when it's come to build the IT assets. One of the most important also thing is disaster recovery planning, which is something every organization should take into consideration, right? Then we have also outsourcing the IT function, which is something listed at the end of this chapter, risk inherits to IT outsourcing. Then we have audit implications of IT outsourcing. So what would happen if we totally rely on, let's say, third-party applications in our organization? So if we rent everything from, let's say, different country companies, For example, right now, if you want to, let's say, apply your organization systems from cloud computing provider, if you just run everything in cloud computing under, let's say, SaaS cloud model, service, right? Services, I mean, consuming application from a cloud directly from a cloud providers without building anything at your organization, let's say IT departments, then this might have some maybe negative implication on your IT systems, maybe finance departments, data security, and so on. I saw that, a quick thing on week one module and module two, which has nothing so far. I will provide also quick descriptions about that and also module three. Right, so this is really, a quick intro to this course. And these are the main two textbooks that we need to maybe take a look at. I will provide also maybe, let's say, more details about each chapter later on. And beside this one, in module one, if you go down here, after the first uh, three chapters, we have a case studies is something that you can find and published under this website. So if you click on this link, you can find it under, Kaggle. Let me just go up there, which is something under Kaggle website. I think you might be familiar with Kaggle, just something like maybe Hugging Face, where you can find a lot of data sets and models built by a lot of developers. So this case study right here, if we go to, sorry, this website, um, you know, I try to find something, that could maybe give us the chance to practice instead of just reading a lot of things in textbooks. So the best, of course, to learn something is by doing that. So, in the field of auditing, if we look at detecting fraudulent activities within financial transactions is, of course, very critical tasks. So leveraging AI right now, artificial intelligence techniques would really help us a lot. So AI more specifically is something related to machine learning models that we can apply them to detect some accounting or financial issues in reports or system. Using AI and machine learning could be significantly enhance the ability to identify and prevent fraudulent activities. So below here we have an example of how to use machine learning model to detect uh, finance, accounting, or business fraudulence activities or transactions. So it's really very interesting. If you click on this link, you would find you will be landed to this page. In this page, you can find that we have notebook, which is kind of code. It's Python code. I think you are familiar also with maybe that code. If you're maybe good in Java or C++, you shouldn't have any problem reading Python code. In this page, you will find that we have what we have applied to this code, a data sets, which is something related to financial transaction. If you open, if you take a look at this, I mean, this data sets, you will find that we have several columns and rows. The first column here is transaction ID. Right. The second one is how much have been transferred maybe or applied, how much money, of course, have been applied to this transaction, amount of money. Then we have also transaction type, right? Which is something was to purchase items online, transfer money, purchase, withdraw, transfer, purchase, and so on, right? So we have this data set with a lot of transactions, right? We have also customer ID, and we also have transaction time when this happened, right? And the last, I guess, or last, yeah, which is something that we need to define. Is this type of a transaction a fraud or not? Is it something normal activity or abnormal? Is this kind of, let's say, abnormal, I mean, fraud, abnormal transactions, something happened without behind your organization system or banking system, right? So all we have here in this data set is very, very, very simple thing, really. It's kind of mix of data, numerical data and categorical data, right? They call that mix of data here. As you can see, we have numerical data, figures, numbers, right? And under this column we have text. We have something written here in English, something describe each the type of each transaction. So we have purchase, transfer, withdraw, and so on. And then we have ID, and now we have transaction time. Now, what we need to do with this case study, they said that we need to apply AI techniques, more specifically machine learning models, right? So we need to apply machine learning model, machine learning, teach a model on all these data. We need to teach them that, for example, if you see this type of transaction, you will need to consider that as, for example, here we have it as fraud. This is something, let's say, abnormal or normal. So this is something you define. You can define, for example, zero here, as you can see under this column, zero as fraudulent, and maybe one as normal, transaction. So we have normal and abnormal, right? So what they have considered here, I think, yeah. So this is something you can define. So you can say that zero is normal or abnormal. It's up to you. So one, normal or abnormal. So in this case, let's say they consider that zero as fraudulence. So we have like, here we have like 69 records which could be considered as abnormal. It's fraudulence, let's say fraud, let's say transaction is something illegal, right? And we have, let's say, 31 maybe record in this table which could be considered as normal transaction. This is something happened normally. Now we need to teach machine learning model. If you see, for example, this record or something similar to this record, you need to tell us that you have fraud activity here, right? That's the point. Now, if we go back to output, you would find that a lot of useful really stuff right here. But before that, let's just look at notebook code. So the main process happened here is by data preparation. It's something that we need to first, download data sets, read it, look at the data itself, and then, engineer that, look at it. It has like numerical data and then categorical data. So you need to decide, you need maybe to turn everything or, to, and I mean, convert everything into numerical data, which could be very good for machine learning training model, right? Machine learning loves, let's say, numerical data more than text data. Now, then once you maybe engineer your data, process it, manage it, then you can choose models. Some of these models, something like random forest here, Guardian's boosting model, all these type of models could be, of course, a type of, they call them maybe a supervised machine learning model that could be used to build AI application. Right, then once you maybe train model or choose, and then of course you need to split data into training and testing model, right? Then you can train your model, and after that you can evaluate them. Right, this is something again provided by this guy. I didn't do anything here. It's not something to me. Right, we are referring to that just to take a look at how we can use AI or machine learning in order to detect maybe kind of finance transaction fraudulent. Right, so this guy in the third step here, have chosen, let's say, the type of models that we can use them based on our data set's nature. And one of the things that you can find in this type of, let's say, technology is normal practice. Everyone try to, for example, split their data into like 20% and 80% for training and testing. So I keep like, 80% of my data for building model and the training model, right? And 20% of that's for testing them, right? So I don't teach my machine models, right, on everything I have. So I try to hide something in like 20%, 25 or 30% of my data, keep them hidden. Don't show your model everything you have. I train them on only 80%, right? And then come back with those 30% to test if your training model could achieve very high performance or not, right? That's the point of splitting data into training and testing. I think maybe you are familiar also with this thing. And after that, of course, you could just measure the accuracy, precision, recall, F score, and other type of matrix or measures that you can, let's say, I mean, calculate them, measure them in order to see how much is your model accurate. Right, so that's the thing, and of course, at the end, we need to find out fraud detections. We need to apply this in type of maybe banking system to maybe automatically detect any type of transactions as fraud or not, right? So the code starts by installing different, libraries like a pretty, let's say, table, which is something for Python, right? And you also need to import a lot of maybe libraries for that, and like pandas. Pandas is something designed for Python, right? NumPy for reading data from tables. Pandas is for creating a PD or like creating, like data frame. Right, and then a scalar, which is something that could help us to train our, train and work on our, I mean, data sets for training and splitting first and then training data. And sklearn is also provide you some functions that could be used to, build machine learning model. Don't worry about maybe this one if you're not really familiar with this code, but this is something that we need just to import them into our code, as you can see here, in this things, right? Some other type of codes that I use just for training and building models. So I'm importing some packages or libraries in order to maybe read data sets, evaluate it and read it, and then get out some results, right? Once you have maybe installed all that successfully, then of course we need to read our data sets. This data set is something provided under this website. You can either, call it using maybe this URL, right? Or else I think you need to install it. Yeah, so you can go to import here and then just click on this data sets, which is not really too big. It's not too big data sets, right? And then after that, as you can see in this model, just to quickly show you, now we have a few code just to read and understand the nature of data sets. And then, read some of it, also data using data frame objects, as you can see here. And then, we have something called again, like, we put all data sets in like two coordinates, right? X and Y. We need to apply these two, let's say columns in our training and testing data. So X will take, more than one column, in fact, and Y will just be only one column, which is for example, defining if this transaction is a fraud or not. But the most important step here is, I guess, is just to write here, after we split data, train. Yeah, so the actual machine learning process started at this point. Train a model, which is in this case random forest classifier, and then you use fit function with these two data, or let's say sub data sets that you have already extracted from the original data sets under X and Y. And then from that, you can evaluate your model. So once you build this one using these few lines, then you can evaluate it to get, the evaluation results, of course, you can find out the accuracy, how accuracy is your model, precisions, recall, and F1. And then you can maybe draw or maybe just plot, visualize data in different formats. So if we go down here, the other things is just for evaluating or displaying data. So you can see the output of this model is something listed like that. Shows you that the transaction ID, amount, and transaction type, and customer ID, and the last one here is we have what is that? It's a transaction time. So we dropped here, in the first outputs, we dropped last column. I don't want to, show you model, right? Machine learning model. I don't want to show you if this transaction is a normal or abnormal. If it's normal, let's say transaction or fraud transaction. I don't want to do that maybe at some point, right? Uh, all right, so these are different also type of results. It shows that this model, random forest one, has like almost 90%, 93%, right? 0.93 is 93% accuracy. It has also precision, performance, and so on. So it tells you, it will later on, if you bring, for example, some data, some transaction record like that, if you bring that as input to our model and try to tell, ask this model if this type of a transaction is normal or abnormal, it should be able to evaluate that as, let's say, normal or abnormal transaction. Right, uh, so it says that, it's the prediction was happened here, and it shows that, the actual, like we have, I think we have like actual non-fraud with 18, right, and predicted fraud is two of them, and actual fraud here is zero, and I'm not really sure of this table. I will come back to this one later on, maybe in different video, but the main point here is just to tell us how many is normal and abnormal, right? Uh, yeah, so these are again the process, what happened in this application. That's really very quick, um, but there's no maybe description on this table, but what it says, like we have like actual non-fraud is listed here, and actual fraud is also listed in this record, right? Okay, so the main point was is just to bring a data sets with financial, let's say, records, and to build one of well-known machine learning model, which is random forest classifier, in order later on and in the future to define from different data sets, maybe if to define data as fraud or not. So I brought this case study just to tell you that, using AI and machine learning, we could use them for auditing, or for maybe detecting later on, a fraud and type of maybe attacks activities in banking systems. So that was something quick about maybe this case study, which is in module one. And we have also module assignments in last module. I mean, last part of this module, it's an assignment. And this assignment is something listed right here. Again, please excuse me because I'm new to model. So where I can see the assignments, yes, right here, I guess, under this one. So the assignment has, from chapter 1, case study, evaluation of controls. There's a case study that you need to read it and find out what you need to answer, right? Chapter 2 also has another case study, internal control and distributed system case study. It has also like 2 requirements only. And chapter 3 case study, it's also listed here, right? That's all we have here. And I think none of you have managed to complete this assignment so far. So I will open up the due dates of this one, so you can maybe find out maybe internet connection and then complete or manage to complete that. Once again, I will again later on bring in more maybe materials and data to week 2 and week 3. So for today, it's again just a quick overview on the course syllabus and week 1 module content. So if you have any question, if you have any inquiries, please drop that into this platform model, or maybe you can leave me your questions in a WhatsApp group, or if you have any maybe private also issue, you can privately text me. That's it, I guess, for the first video meeting, and I hope we can maybe arrange live meetings in the future. Thank you very much.